Welcome back once again to howtocookgreatfood.com. If you haven't already, please click that button and subscribe to our channel. On the menu today, as you can see right here, fresh out of the oven, that is, it's still really hot. We're going to make a spicy shepherd's pie kind of thing. Basically what we've got is, we've got a nice chili beef underneath, so we're making a chili con carne with a kind of mashed potato on the top. Our mashed potato's got some cilantro or coriander in it, with some chili as well, bit of cheese in there in the mix. So, a bit of a combo, a kind of a standard English fare of a shepherd's pie, with a mixed Mexican twist with a kind of chili con carne or kind of chili beef together. I'm actually using beef today, not lamb. You can use lamb, you can use beef, you can use pork, or you can use a combination of the three of them if you wish. It's pretty easy, it makes a little change, I love it. Let's go and do it. So we'll get started with our potatoes. I've got some nice cold water here. As you can see, I've got some lovely peeled potatoes in there. Nice and chunky. Let's get a little bit of salt. Salt that water up. So simple now. What we need to do is bring this to the boil. Cook them until they're really nice and tender. Then we're going to mash them. I'll add a few other bits then. Okay, these look ready. Let's turn the heat off. Now, I've got a stick here. Bamboo stick, or use a knife or something. There you go, look, you can see they're so delicate. That's where we want to be. So simply, we're going to now drain them off. We're going to mash the life out of them, and then we're going to add a few bits to it. Let's go and do that. Okay, so as you can see, I've drained these off and I've got them back into the same pan. I've now got a nice potato masher. And simply we're going to crush and mash them together here. While I'm here now, I'm just going to add a little bit of butter. If you wanted, you could add some milk or cream. Today I'm not going to do that with this one. I've got a bit of unsalted butter there. I'm going to go in with loads of black pepper. That's always good for this, I think. Now we did salt the potatoes, but I'm just going to add a little bit more, just a little touch, a little couple of pinches. I'm also going to add now a little pinch of chili powder, nice red chili powder. It's looking great. I'm also going to add now some cilantro into the mix. And a little bit of cheese. I'm using some Parmesan cheese here. Simply let's mash this together. Give it a good beating and mixing. And then that's pretty much done. We can set that aside. And that's going to be wonderful on top of our nice chili beef that we're about to make now. Okay, so here we go, let's get on to our chili beef now. Very simple. I've got a touch of oil in there. I'm using the sunflower oil today, but you can use any oil you like. I've got some onions chopped, nice and small. In they go. Now I like to use a lot of onions in this dish. I really like it with the chili. I've also got here some garlic, finely chopped. There's like 2 teaspoons there. What I'd like to do now is just saute these onions. I mean, I'm using red, but go ahead and use a white or a brown. Let's saute these onions around just for about 3 or 4 minutes. Keep stirring all the time, then we'll move on to the next stage. As you can see, these onions have changed colour now. That garlic's really doing its thing. Now we're going to drop in our minced meat. I'm using beef today. You could use lamb, you could maybe use pork, you could use a mixture of everything in fact. Sometimes a beef and pork works really well. This is just beef, this one. So again, we're going to just throw this around in the pan. We're on a fairly lively heat. We need to be cooking this, getting it nice and brown, mixing those onions into it. We should get a little bit of moisture and or fat out of this. Depends on the blend of your mince. They're usually about sort of 60-40, 80-20, usually. But let's see what we get out of this. So let's stir this around. This is probably going to take about 5 minutes. Keep pressing it around, mixing those onions in, and that beef will break down and give off some moisture, like I say. Here we are then. So as you can see, our meat's been cooking. It's been cooking for about 7 or 8 minutes on a kind of highest heat. And I did get some moisture out there, and I kind of burnt that off. So it's fairly dry at the moment. At this stage we're going to add some spices, so let's go. I've got some chili powder there, oregano, cumin powder, some salt, some pepper, and I've got some paprika. Now they're all equal parts, it's like a kind of small teaspoon of each. Now the paprika, there's 3 types of paprika generally. There's a sweet one, a smoked one, or a hot one. You don't really want to use the hot paprika and chili. You're basically putting 2 lots of chili in. So I'm using a smoked one today, which is fantastic. I mean, you know, obviously gives it a lovely little smoky taste. But yeah, just be careful with that when you're doing that, because that could be a disaster. Now I've just got a regular tin or can of red kidney beans that I've washed nicely. Let's get them in. As you can see, there's quite lumpy, this meat, which I quite like, but I don't want it that, you know, really, really lumpy. So I'm sort of breaking them down a little bit. Then what I'm going to do now is I've got a regular can here of tomatoes, plum tomatoes that I've roughly chopped. So in they go. Now because we're going to bake this in the oven, I don't want it too wet. Now if I was just making a kind of a chili or chili con carne to go with some rice, I'd make it a bit wetter. So we're just adding a little bit of moisture to this. Not trying to make a stew. Okay, going to pop the lid on that. Let's lower the heat down to a medium. Let's cook that just for about 4 to 5 more minutes, then we'll come back. Let's jump in and take a look now. There you go, absolutely wonderful. Really happy with that. Like I say, it's not too wet. Bit of moisture in there, but not too wet. That's it, really simple. If you wanted, I'm not going to put it in today, but a little splash of ketchup sometimes works in that, just to sort of add a little bit of sweetness. Off goes the heat. Check that for seasoning, salt and pepper. It's fine for me. It's got a lovely flavour. The next step is we're going to get that into a baking tray or pot. Put the potato on the top, a bit of cheese on that. In the oven, it's done. Let's do that. So as you can see, I've got a nice glass oven-proof dish. You could do it in a metal one or ceramic, it's entirely up to you. I've got my meat in there. Now this is really kind of meat heavy. It's a nice kind of thickness of meat, which I'm really happy about. Now we've got our potato, a nice chili potato we've got here with that cilantro. We need to just spoon this on. and then just with a fork, just press it down and even it out, you know, just make a nice layer there to the top. This is looking fantastic. I'm really going to love this. I've got a bit more potato. I'm going in with that as well. Again, spread that out. And the fork, you can see the marks it makes. You know, it kind of leaves those little peaks. That's nice when it goes in the oven as well. It'll kind of crisp up a little bit. Just to finish this off now, I've got a little bit of cheddar cheese. Grated cheddar. You can use what you like. This is a kind of strong, mature cheddar I've got here, which I think is wonderful. Now, everything on this is cooked. The meat's cooked, the potatoes are cooked. We're just going to get this into the oven. What we're trying to do here, one moment. What we're trying to do here is just grabbing some pepper on the top, bit of pepper, or maybe some oregano, maybe up to you. What we're trying to do is just get this brought together, so just get your oven as hot as you can. Preheat it, get it really hot, get it in the middle shelf. All we're trying to do is get that nice and golden brown on the top, and that's done. It's probably going to go into my oven just for about 8 minutes or something like that. I'll show you that when it comes out. Okay, there we go. Looks absolutely wonderful if you ask me. Lovely golden brown. We've got that lovely chili mash. We've got our beef underneath, which is just wonderful, I think. Nice little taste to it. Just makes a little change, this one, really. That was actually in my oven for about 10 minutes, in fact. But like I said, we're just getting it all together. It was already cooked before it went in. Hope you enjoyed that. Lots of love to you all. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.